was, have you guys heard of, I just want to get your thoughts for this one. It's the graphing, it's the Navy SEAL graph chart that, oh shoot. It takes the metrics of performance and trust, and it shows how they form, like, I don't know, high functioning teams or whatever. So on each axis is, performance and trust, and they value trust way higher than they do performance. Which, like, even if someone is like super high performing, but they have very low trust, they don't bother with them. Meanwhile, if they're only like mid to low performance abilities, if they're only like so good, but like they still have a high amount of trust. Dude, I can't. Words are hard. High amount of trust. They will more likely bring someone like that onto the team, even though it might mean that, like, they have to pick up slack in some area or another. But having someone that they trust by their side is 10 times better than having someone that they don't necessarily trust. And by trust, like, I'm not saying like they're gonna get shot in the back. It's more in terms of, like, it's who they are, like their character they can't trust. They
will get shot in the back then if you can't trust the character.
Well, they lead the group poorly in terms of, like, they have entitlement issues. They have
yeah, but like it's more on an extreme scale. Like, we can't compare that to ourselves just because they're on the front line.
We use a similar matrix. Not sure if you do anything, but in corporate, but not performance versus trust, but more like technical skills versus like attitude. Right, like where, right, you have someone that's high performing, right, or has very high technical skills, shitty attitude. And you have, right, someone who's like, right, low technical skills, but high, really good attitude and stuff like that. I tend to stick with the, like, mid technical skills at least, and high amounts of positive attitude. But yeah.
I mean, when it comes down,
definitely not a similar matrix though.
Yeah, it comes down to what's malleable and what's taught and what's changed more easily. Performance and technical stuff you could teach people, but when it comes to character, that's really hard to change, and that becomes a whole team player issue. I mean, if you gave someone a task to do on their own, who cares if they're a team player or not? But if you're actually doing something as a group, that matters a whole lot more. Because, and especially for the Marines or any special armed forces or even like police, if there's no trust within the group, how can you focus in on the task straight up without having to think about, like, are you safe with this person?
Yeah.
Right? And so a whole lot of variables come to play, right? Psychology, even philosophy at that point, and then from their performance, because performance is measured by how much you can focus in on it and your technicals and so and whatnot. So I think, I mean, that makes sense.
When you said that, we were talking about when you talk about the trust, and you talked about the police. It was a few years ago. Bar PD was doing. They were serving a search warrant. One of them shot and killed their own. In Pleasanton, Castro Valley.
Wow.
This is like maybe 6-7 years ago now.
And even with that, like, is it trust or is it compliance? And if someone is just
yeah, I mean, at that time, I
right?
think it's not trust, but just a lack of skills.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I use this a lot, like when we're not this specifically, but I think about that a lot when we're hiring people and we're looking, right. I tend to, like, anybody who hits certain, like, technical skills and stuff like that, right? Rather than taking the highest technical, starting with highest technical skills. Anything that I would consider a mid technical skills, interview with, because some of them, right, they have the lower technical skills, but they have much greater attitude, which I think is much better employee potentially, rather than someone with low attitude.
I mean, just thinking about from the corporate standpoint, especially at public company, when someone has really high technical skills, they're more likely to turn too, because it's much more opportunity. And that's what you see just in like the tech world in general. The moment you can leak code, and then the moment you can probably market yourself because of your high technical skills, you're just gonna rotate out every 1 or 2 years. Get your initial stock, get your initial bonus, do a couple projects, go to the next one, get your initial stock. So there's no company trust, there's no team trust, because at the end of the day they're out there for money, and that's what the corporate understands, and that's why you see in these tech companies the average 10 years, 3 years or less, and 3 years being your full investment from your initial sign on.
And then, I mean, it's hard to quantitate. That's the actual word. Quantify. It's hard to quantify something like trust and attitude and these non-technical, non-performing situations. And a lot of times, what you have is just based on performance, right? Which is why you have so high-performing individuals, high-technical individuals, shitty attitudes. But they keep hitting those marks, getting those jobs and stuff like that, because they can quantify their skills a lot better than someone with lower performing or lower technical skills.
Yeah, that's it's from, I was listening to a thing is Simon Sinek. I'm sure people have heard of him, and he's the guy talking about it. And he was saying how corporate America, they don't have a way in order to quantify attitude or trust. I think they go hand in hand. There's not a way to figure out what of these things how do you put that in numbers? But you can get the numbers from how many sales did this person make, how much profit did they do, how much loss did they have, how many deals did they close. They're off the charts. Okay, that's the guy that we want to give the promotion to. Little do they know he's an absolute dirtbag, and the only reason he's got these sales is he took all the easiest jobs. He doesn't help out on the side of the more complex things, and I'm sure that happens in corporate, that happens in blue and white, all types of jobs. People they want to take the easiest one, and then they don't want to help the group, but someone's got to do it, and it's usually the person who gets screwed over the most and the guy that everyone trusts the most, because they're gonna do the job because they take pride in what they do, that they get bogged down with this long ass job, so then they get passed over for a bonus or for a promotion or for that whatever sort of accolades.